Okay, good. Great. Okay, we've got,
Alice, do we want to acknowledge when resigning from the task force in the meeting as a
we can put it in as a that part in
Yeah.
the minutes.
Yep.
That's good. Thank you, Todd. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, and more on that will come up in the agenda actually. Good. So moving on to the agenda, it's action packed, but I'm willing to entertain additions. Anything we didn't cover when we put this together? Okay, great. On to approval of the December minutes. Any corrections, edits, or things we missed? Tony, I know I can count on you. Thanks, Tony.
It says Diane was a guest, but she's actually a task force member.
Oh, she was listed as a guest?
I think I second guessed that because
Might be from an old
yeah.
headset about, but
Sorry, Diane.
all right. And I'm
That's
just,
it.
so thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead.
I used to be a guest, so it's okay, Rose.
You were a guest for a long time before we got you fully appointed, Diane. That's great. Okay. So with the change that Diane is a task force member, not a guest, any other changes? Do I hear a motion to approve the December minutes? Todd moves and Susan seconds. All in favor of approving the December minutes? Looks like it's unanimous. Great.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Rose.
Sorry, Diane.
That got by both of us.
She's upset.
Okay, so the Project Management Committee report is the next item on our agenda. And as you can see, there are quite a few pieces of that report. I'll start off by asking Dan if you have heard anything about a DOT final approval for the bridge construction.
Yeah, thanks, Alice. And we did hear from DOT on Friday, just asking for minor clarifications about the revised bid package and construction proposal. They need some details about the construction management plan and several things regarding our local funding share, how that might change with additional engineering work that needs to be done. And just a couple signatures. So it's kind of minor stuff that needs to just be cleaned up. And I'm sure we can turn this around real quickly with them. So it's finalized.
Okay, that's great. So
So good news is they're paying attention and they're pretty much on top of this. We've had a pretty robust month of communication with Julie Baldwin and her shop up at DOT. So there are so many details. It's almost unbelievable how many pages and pages that we have to get straight with them and how many checkoffs there are. So
but the
just
good news,
yeah, just little things about the management plan, as I mentioned, and a couple signatures that apparently that were missed in a revised cost estimate.
okay. And do we have
And of
enough?
course, all these shares have changed since this project has gone on so long. So the town share may go up a little bit, and we will probably ask for additional multimodal funding to cover that. And we'll see if they give it to us. But Ray seems to think that's an option. So I said, yes, let's request additional multimodal funding for it.
So for our guests, this is a report about the Route 13 pedestrian bridge. And I think what I can take away from it is that we're very close to the final approval from the DOT to build the bridge. And that is approval of a construction bid. And once that's approved and these last signatures are in place, we'll be able to hire a contractor. And this allows us to continue to hope that we'll be able to build it in this construction year.
Yeah.
So you.
Little things like a construction inspection estimate needed to be added.
It's within our budget, and we are just now trying to finalize the paperwork that went along with the bid to provide the award. Great.
So we have a good low bid. We aren't able to announce it yet until DOT says yes and gets
Okay.
all these signatures, but we're pretty close. So.
Yeah.
So this allows us to still hope for 2026 construction.
Absolutely.
And it's emboldened us to apply for another TAP grant, which is the next item on our agenda. Yeah, I just said New York State DOT TAP 2026 grant, change in scope of project. And therein lies a story. Todd, would you like to, I could do a quick summary of how we got to the new scope of work, or would you like to?
Whatever you prefer.
Oh, how about I start and then you notice all the places that I left out. So when we came to the December meeting of the task force, we had a plan to ask for the a TAP grant that would finish the trail. We have 4 property owners who are still reluctant to give us easements, but we have 42 of the 48 total easements that we need to finish the trail. So we're not so far away from being able to finish it. So we passed a resolution in December that would pass on to the town board, requesting them to authorize the town to apply for the next TAP grant. And we hoped that it would finish the trail. However, we were able to get a meeting with regional representatives of Department of Transportation to just do a kind of initial consultation about the strength of the project that we wanted to bring to them. And we learned 2 things that made us believe that we were not exactly on the right track with this scope of work that we had in mind. The first thing that we learned was that lacking easements, which we kind of knew, lacking easements would be a problem for us in terms of scoring on the bid. But the second thing we learned was that Department of Transportation would not permit us to do the kind of arrangement that we've done with some other owners of property that have given us easements. And that is, we've in the past done some shared use agreements where a property owner like William George Agency can run a tractor across the trail if they need to, or have their equipment running along on the trail if necessary. The DOT folks.
So Alex, this is one of the topics that we wanted to talk about in the executive session.
Can I speak about it in this kind of general way, or don't get more particular?
Well, there's some specifics that we want to have in the executive session. So,
Okay, all right.
Just suffice it to say, there was several issues around easements and rights of use for properties that made us conclude that we should change the scope.
Good, thank you.
And we'll provide more particulars in the executive session at the end,
Okay,
because it relates to land acquisition.
good. So there were, I think it's fair to say that there was new information that led us to think differently about what we might consider a reasonable application with TAP. And I have to say that we did a very fast pivot in a little post meeting to learning that. We started to look more specifically at just Pinckney Road to Route 366, where we do think we have a good shot at having everything we need. And Todd, do you want to talk about why the crossing why we thought of including the crossing?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Transportation Alternatives Grant requires the whatever project that you submit, it has to go from road to road. And so by the time our bridge project phase 2 is done, we'll be to Pinckney. And then, we're working on the NICEX section with Charlie and DPW to do the bridge there. And so it seemed realistic that we could get to 366, but getting to the west side of 366 wasn't as advantageous as being able to cross the road and then also get the road crossing, which is fairly expensive on a state route, maybe 100,000 for all the signals and everything like that. And so in order to pull that into the project, we needed to have something on the other side. Well, from 366 to Etna Lane,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have all the easements yet. And so then we started thinking about trail amenities and being able to actually have a parking lot that you could get to off of 366 and then get on the trail and get all the way into Ithaca seemed like a good amenity to include. And having the parking lot on the east side of the highway would then make it necessary to have a crossing there. And on the west side of 366, there's like 3 small streams that all come together, and there's not really good real estate there for a parking lot. It would encroach on the streams. They would have to be changed, diverted. It would be fairly involved. And there is a wetland on the east side, but we think we can minimize the impact to that, and it would be fairly nominal mitigation. So we kind of then were and Fernando de Aragon, retired from the Ithaca Transportation Council, has been helping us with this project in an advisory role and a budgetary role, and he had in the past scored the TAP grants, so he knows how they strengths and weaknesses, and so that's been really helpful. But we were like, well, will we even meet the minimum amount if it's just Pinckney to 366 in the parking lot and the crossing? The project has to be at least 500,000 in order to be eligible. So we thought we were there, but then there was more that came after that. Do you want to talk about the Freeville to the village part now?
I went to the village trustees of Freeville to talk with them about a letter of support for this project. And part of what we had considered was adding to this project stone dust between Johnson Road and Union along Depot Road, Freeville Depot Road. And the trustees said, well, why are you including stone dust in that little section in the middle of the village? Why aren't you also considering adding stone dust to between the villages, between the village of Dryden and Freeville? And I brought that back to the project management team, and we said, well, let's consider that. Let's get some numbers. So we were able to go to Erdman Anthony, who had done the study for us on alternatives for the finishing of the trail, particularly Pinckney all the way to Freeville. And they graciously added on to the work that they had done for us and provided some numbers that allowed us to add stone dust surface between the villages and that little section within the village, and then this section in Pinckney Road. So that's kind of the new scope of work. that we have for the project.
And recall that from 13 in the village to Spring House, it's essentially earth. So that would become ADA accessible, and then Spring House to DPW Drive is gravel, but it's very rough and not accessible. And it also includes a section where we went off the rail bed alignment on the west side of George Road because the train actually had gone under the road through a culvert historically, and we didn't want to approach it that way. So that is a 9% grade, which is steeper than the ADA accessibility, unless you do other interventions. And one of the interventions is that you have little rest areas off the trail periodically. And so we've included in the scope and the budget for those, so that 400 foot section would be ADA accessible, because it's a requirement of TAP grant that everything be ADA accessible. So we budgeted for that, as well as making essentially from Johnson then to the village of Dryden fully accessible in the project. And that pre-application was due last Thursday, and we got it in. So it was a lift, about 8 maps and a detailed budget and a bunch of other narratives. And we wanted it to be as complete as possible, because DOT will be giving us feedback on that application and potentially recommendations of how it could be improved. And then we'll have until the middle of March to finalize that application and put it in.
So we got the feedback by February 6th, and we may do some modifications based on that. And then Dan, I've taken the liberty of writing a new resolution for the town board for you to consider, a draft, which we will ask that we will need I think a vote at this, because we've changed the scope of work that we voted on at our December meeting. We'll need a vote at this session to recommend the new scope of work. The price tag is in the neighborhood, the total price tag is in the neighborhood of 2.3 million. Not far from the number that we considered last month when we were thinking about the entire, doing almost the entire trail last time. But this new plan gives us ADA accessibility coming in 2 directions, all the way to the Etna to Freeville section. That's our gap at the moment.
Alice, do we need a resolution to withdraw the former one, or is that withdrawal in the resolution that you just drafted?
It is not. So let me just pull that resolution up. I hope I filed it in a place that I can put my hands on it quickly.
In the minutes.
Oh, it's in the minutes. Okay, yes. So, our first, so I guess the first resolution is simple. We will, I would entertain I'll move that we remove that we revoke the resolution from December, asking the town board to approve our application for the project to complete the trail. And I so moved. Do I have a second? Todd. Okay, all in favor of removing the December resolution? Show of hands. Good. Okay, looks like everybody. Thank you. Good. Okay, so the new resolution is, and I'm not putting my hands on it right this minute, so I'm gonna try to paraphrase it from the change. Do we have a copy of the minutes right now from the old? It will be quite similar to the one that we just removed.
So while you're looking for that, Alice, we have scheduled a meeting with Rick Young for early February, and one of the agenda items is to explore what amount of the work that is in what now we're calling phase 3 for this 2026 TAP grant that the DPW can accomplish. And some of that can be used as the local match requirements. So that the number that Alice mentioned before was $2.3 million. The TAP grant requires 20% match for the local share, and 80% is supported by DOT. We can proceed and apply without specifying exactly how we would meet our 20% match. And that match could be from backstop from the town. It can be augmented by grants that we get from, say, Tompkins County, or federal support, or private foundations, or by the town DPW completing some of the work, and that work being used as part of the local match. So just the structure of this application is similar to how we structured phase 2, which was the bridge, which is that the town was obligated to meet their match requirements, and then we went and found a lot of additional sources, including state parks and DPW to meet that match. We actually have seven separate grant entities in the bridge project that we've been able to bring to reduce the town's match requirement that they had to backstop. So our approach would be similar with this, to pursue those other funding and support options.
And one more thing we learned was that under certain circumstances, when a project crosses a state road, under certain circumstances, DOT is willing to assume some of the local match. We're lucky to have Leonardo as a consultant. He thought that might be a long shot, but when we get feedback from about our application, we may be able to learn more whether this is a circumstance where DOT might assume some responsibility for the local match. I believe that DOT assumed responsibility for the crosswalk treatment on Main Street in the village of Dryden. We had a cost estimate for that, and then they were doing work there anyway, and we did not end up having to fund that. So there's at least a chance. So there's really 3 different ways that we could offset that local match. The DOT could forgive part of it. We could get some other matching money, and our workforce can provide some of that work. So that's a lot of information and a lot of changes. I want to open it up to questions and discussion.
Well, Alice, you're right that having Fernando as our consultant is helpful in guiding us about different funding sources. We're even thinking about using our CDBG application process for this. It turns out community development block grants, which is federal money that flows through the state, we apply for that in July, is appropriate for trail use. So we might go there. We might put in a couple applications for CDBG. We often go for infrastructure relating to housing. So we have needs there too for sewer and water lines. That's what we just got a CDBG grant for, but that's another source that we could pursue. As well as perhaps asking our state reps for a direct grant. But I will say I brought this up to the rest of the board last week to let them know that this was out there. I just wanted to take the temperature because, making a commitment like this is kind of a big deal. But the way I frame it is this is really a legacy issue and something that we've all kind of signed on to improve the quality of life in Dryden. And in that context, they all support, being the backstop and aggressively looking for match funding. Just need to figure out what that number is, Allison. You were working on some new language for this, and we talked about 20% match of $2 million in the last draft resolution.
Yeah.
It's going to be something similar, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I thought we could have some discussion, and I want to answer questions, and then I've got the language that we need.
Okay, great.
Any other questions or discussion of where we are with the scope of work at this point, or what elements are included? We're going to have a phase 4, folks. We hoped the phase 3 would be the final phase, but it looks like there'll be some work after this TAP grant
Yes.
to finalize the whole.
Being on the section of the trail that just got stone dust recently, the last section that got stone dust, I tell you, 4 times the number of people are on that trail since the stone dust went in. Stone dust makes a huge difference in trail usage.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I love it.
Hearing those reports was also one of the reasons why when the Village of Freeville's trustees brought that up, I thought, oh, if we could use this grant. TAP grants are only offered every 2 or 3 years. And if we could get the stone dust between the villages in this grant, that's a big plus. It really advances our work.
Well, and related to the match in the villages, we haven't sought support from Dryden or Freeville in the past. And given that significant sections of this project are within the village boundaries, it would make sense to talk with them and see what might be possible.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Geez, Todd, you just gave me an idea. So the village has this big downtown revitalization grant that they have to figure out how to disperse. That was a 2-point-something million. Maybe it was 3. But they have to figure out what to invest that in. And since we do feed right into the village, maybe there's something to be pursued there.
Well, the spring house to 13 is all earth surface.
Yeah.
And that amount, if they supported that becoming ADA accessible, that would be a significant part of the match.
And that's where the village boundary ends,
right,
at Springhouse Road. So that little subset of the stone dust would be really a terrific contribution and a very appropriate one, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah.
But Dan, who's the right person to approach the town group that is considering how to use that grant?
Well, I'd like to say the mayor, but I have a feeling he has his ideas on how to spend it already. Bless his heart. But
I think it's you.
Oh, you mean which one of us? Oh,
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Dan, would you be willing to pursue that?
Yeah, we need to sort out that process and see where they are.
Good.
As I understand it, you get the money and then you develop a distribution process. where entities apply and are reviewed and awarded at the local level.
Oh, okay. That's very cool. I have not yet asked to be on the agenda of the Dryden Village folks because I didn't know when we were doing the scheduling, I knew Freeville was included, but we hadn't arrived at the new scope of work yet. So maybe we should, you and I should work together to figure out how to do that approach, because we want a letter of support from the Village of Dryden, but now we have a kind of bigger ask.
In relative to that and match and timing, in the pre-application that we just submitted and in the final application, it will have a schedule. And DOT requires that you begin your project within 2 years. And now they do have a process where you can request that it be extended, and we've been doing that for the bridge project because it's taken so long. But this project should be a lot more straightforward, and we should be able to execute it more on the typical DOT timeline, which would be then to have everything approved and then go to construction in 2028. So relative to other funding sources, it's kind of important to put that date out there, is like, that's when you need to have whatever other match funds secured by that point in time.
So we'll have to see how that fits with the village's process for their
Right.
grant, but and when spending is necessary, et cetera. But that's good to put context. Any other questions about what we've been describing as the new approach to the TAP grant before we do a resolution? So the resolution can read, the Dryden Rail Trail Task Force requests that the town board approve a town application for a New York State Department of Transportation alternative grants not to exceed. If we have a 2.3 million price tag, we might want to say 2.5 in this. I'm going to suggest, just for since it's a not to exceed. That's my suggestion. Including a commitment to backstop the 20% local match to complete the phase 3 of building the Dryden Rail Trail. And I so move. Second. Thank you, Rose. Okay, let's discuss now that resolution.
Great.
Dan, is a 2.5 sound reasonable, given what the work that we've been doing to suss out these costs? It's adds a contingency on top of the contingency as the not to exceed.
Yeah, so now we're talking about $500,000.
We're adding $500,000 to what we talked about in December.
Right, but to be clear, that would be a $500,000 commitment from the town.
Correct.
For the backstop.
For the backstop.
And the total project cost would be 2.5, not 2.5 plus the town contribution.
No,
Correct?
the total project, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
so this, this will be something that is on all of us to share and to promote, because there will be people who oppose this in our town. There are people still mad about the bridge. I know that from going door to door last fall. So, it's something that we're, putting on the town ledger. But, as I said, I think this sort of funding, what we all need to remember is this sort of funding might not come around again for a few years, if ever, depending on which way this country tilts. It's just
Actually, I sent you some information from Federal Parks and Trails with concern that TAP grants are on the docket for removal in the Trump administration. And you know, we might want as a town board to express our support for keeping TAP grants in there.
Yeah, I doubt they'll listen, but sure, we can go. I think we all did, and you know, I think you sent us a petition to sign on to,
Correct.
and all
Yeah.
my colleagues did.
Thank you. Thank you.
It,
Yeah, but that's
it
just
was a
another-
signature petition type thing that was great. We'll see, you know, these sorts of things come up every few years when we reauthorize the transportation program, the Surface Transportation Act. And it'd be the type of thing that if they were to do that, which I seriously doubt they will because this Congress doesn't do big things, but reauthorizations tend to happen when there's a Democrat in office. The last bill, as you know, the Infrastructure and Jobs Act was you know, Biden thing, and very few Republicans voted for it. And then this current reauthorization will probably just be extended. And I think, Alice, what we would be looking for is whether in the extension of the Transportation Act, whether, you know, TAP would continue to get funded. I don't know. It's something worth advocating for sure.
Okay. But knowing colleagues, being reminded by you that these grants may not always be there. Now is the time to ask. And
yeah, that's what I told my fellow board members. You know, I'm really skeptical that we'll get another bite at this apple for 4 years until there's a different administration.
okay.
It's gotten that bad.
So the 2.5 total with the $500,000 commitment from the town sounds acceptable to you in this resolution.
Yeah, let's keep calling it a backstop with the idea that we'll find some match money or some, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we can do with in-kind contributions, labor work by our Department of Highway and moving equipment and
yeah, in fact, we have a meeting coming up with Rick Young on February 6th to talk with him about just how much our town force could do to provide towards the backstop. So
Sure.
Any other discussion of the resolution that's on the floor? Are we ready to vote? Okay. All in favor of the resolution from the task force requesting the town board to approve our application for not to exceed 2.5 million for a 2026 TAP grant. Please raise your hand. Looks like all voting members. Great. Thank you, guys. Good. And Dan, we'll forward that to you with some more whereases when the time comes. Good.
Just to remind everybody, I'm not a voting member, so that's why I didn't raise my hand.
Good. Okay, so let's see. We in the course of giving that background, we talked a little bit about how Erdman Anthony gave us new estimates for the new scope of work. We just passed the new resolution asking the town board approval. And now we get to letters of support for the actual grant application, which is due March 12th. Judy let me know ahead of time before tonight's meeting that she wasn't going to be able to join us, but she's heading up that effort to get those letters of support out. And she and I will work together. I have found all the letters of support that we got for the 2018 TAP grant. And so we will send the letters. We'll remind the people who supported us before what they said in 2018, describe the project that we have in mind. And so we have about 5 or 6 weeks to assemble those and forward them. We might be looking for a little work party to stuff envelopes and address them and stuff like that as a subcommittee coming up. So that's it. That was a long time on one item, but a very important one, probably the most important one at this meeting. Any final thoughts about the TAP grant before we move on? Okay,
Well, I'll just say, we mentioned it a couple different times, but we really owe a huge thank you to Fernando de Aragon for all the help in helping us put this application together, and the budget recommendations and strategic recommendations, everything in between. So that's been fantastic, and we really appreciate what he's contributed.
yeah. And I think that the pre-application that we handed in was a really, really solid piece of work, with budget work already completed and maps that will stand us in good stead when we are assembling the final application. I'm proud of the work that happened. And Fernando really was, just the dot to doing that work. Great. Okay, so we have yet another bridge and surfacing work project going on, and that is in the NYSEG section of the trail, east of Pinckney Road. And Todd, do you want to just talk about the latest on where we are there?
Sure. So we had set early February as having a kickoff meeting with all the principals. Anybody that's interested can attend. So we're going to be meeting on February 6th with Rick Young and Charlie Troutman, and also with the engineer of record, who is a former student of Charlie's, Kevin. And Kevin is a engineer out in California, and he's donating his time for this. And Charlie and I originally thought he was going to take the student designs and just, make a few subtle changes and stamp them. And but we learned that really more significant changes were necessary. So he's essentially doing a new design for us.
Oh.
And a large part of that is some changes in the structural steel that's needed for the main support. So Kevin has been working on those updated designs, and he's going to be joining the meeting remotely, so that we can kind of all see exactly what's proposed, and then work through who's doing what and in what sequence, what the DPW is doing, what Charlie is doing with his class, what all needs to happen in that more or less 3-month build construction window. And and also what grant funds are paying for what components of the work. And then just earlier today, I got a request from Charlie to have a contact with Dryden to set up a contract with Kevin, who this literally came like a half an hour before the meeting. And I'm surmising that that there needs to be some kind of formality to that this is actually a design for the town, and that the town is providing some de minimis compensation, so that everything with his license and liability and all those kinds of things is above the board. That's me kind of reading between the lines, because Charlie really didn't give me much detail. But the ask was, who should he talk to? Who should Charlie and Kevin talk to in the town to set up a very simple contract with a de minimis compensation?
I guess they would draft something and send it to us, which we would share with our attorney to do that rather than set up a meeting. I think that might be more efficient.
Okay, so a short proposal and have it forwarded to you, and then you can facilitate it, Dan?
Yeah, then I can get it to our town attorney, Nate Van Wy, for, just proofing and making sure it's an appropriate format.
Okay,
But this is a contract, and so we run all contracts by our attorney
okay,
like that.
all right, I'll pass that on to Charlie.
All right. The compensation is just symbolic?
That's what I gathered, yes.
Okay.
Good, yeah,
Okay. That makes sense.
great. Yeah, so more super professional volunteer work being donated for this part of the project. Great, thank you. So the timetable for this is also spring, and I'm wondering if students from Charlie's class are still anticipated to be part of the
Yes,
construction.
yes,
Okay,
yeah, so, and, some of it depends on when if we stay on the schedule. Charlie has the schedule written out so that the students can participate at different times. The mud season might affect, if we're able to actually execute this, with the weather and all kinds of other things. So optimistically, yes.
good. And so the students from last semesters, from the spring semester group, were actually able to make some construction forms, and now the plans have changed, but are they still operative? Are they still
Yes.
going to be able to be
So,
incorporated?
The right now, I haven't seen the design, but the only significant change that I've learned is originally there were 3 large steel beams, and now there's 5 smaller ones. And but they all get attached to the same forms.
Okay,
So there shouldn't be any change in the rest of the configuration. But everything has just been kind of a narrative from Charlie. I haven't seen updated plans yet, so.
so maybe we'll see them on February 6th.
I would hope that we would see them actually before February.
Before the- okay. Good.
Todd, do you know if the cost has gone up?
Charlie had put the steel beams in the Cornell component of the budget, and he is suggesting so far he believes that everything is still in budget. But this is until you actually order them, you're not going to know the exact cost. But the part of the kickoff meeting is to identify, like what grant pays for what components. And we have our Triad grant, and most or all of the Triad grant is meant to provide funds to DPW for like excavator rental and the concrete truck and all the kinds of things that are going to be hard costs. And then Charlie has already used the funds for the forum construction, and the rebar that's inside of it was going to be for the steel. And then we have the Finger Lakes Runners Club for the decking and the railings and all that kind of. So that's part of us mapping it and reminding everybody what work is being funded by what parts.
Okay.
And the end result will be a new bridge that will cover the washed out one that was lost in the 70s. And again, hopefully before the end of this year.
Is this over Fall Creek? The bridge over Fall Creek or?
It's about 1,500 feet east of Pinckney Road on, right underneath, high power lines that are coming from NYSEG.
It's behind the Dunkin' Donuts off 13. Okay. The old rail,
The other local monument.
The old rail bed was raised 20 feet above
Yep.
and then, yeah, at some point 25 years ago, a flood came through and washed out a V shape. It's about 20 feet high and 30, 40 feet wide. And then it needs to put a bridge across that. Right now, you have to scramble down one and across the creek and back up.
Perfect.
Yeah. And there's
We
some
have this
beautiful,
problem too.
Yeah, something like. I've hiked that area, yes, you got 2 or 3, much bigger
Yeah.
than this thing.
Well, so one of the other considerations here, we have a wetland on both sides. And had to actually go through a whole lot of work with the Corps and the DEC to ensure that the work that we were proposing was not gonna have wetland impacts, because we didn't want to get into mitigation and all that kind of stuff. But we also didn't want to ruin the wetlands there, because it's part of one of the greatest features in that whole section. There's a bunch of active beaver dams, beaver dams in there. And we thought if we put in a regular box culvert, or which the cement ones are really expensive, or a plastic pipe, the beaver would plug it up. And then the DPW would be in there, worried about the trail washing away and whatever, and they'd be taking it out, and it would be a perpetual maintenance issue. And so the thought was, if we created a longer span across there, we don't have to worry about any of the wetland mitigation effects or anything like that. And if the beaver plug it up, then great, and we can just let them be there, and actually we'll be in order to compensate for the lack of fill there, because it all got washed away. Actually lowering the elevation of the bridge by several feet allows us to use the material on site rather than truck a bunch of things in and make it way more expensive. The trucking and fill is by far the most expensive part of these projects. And so by designing it with the bridge being lower, we're not actually planning to import material.
You can use on site.
Yes.
That's great.
Just hope for no more floods.
but even though we are adjacent to and not in the wetland, we needed approval from DEC and the Army Corps, and that was 6 months. It took us to get both of those approvals, and we have them now, so we're set to go ahead with this project. Anything else on where we are on the NYSEG Bridge? Also, this project includes some stone dust resurfacing. But maybe we'll leave it out now.
No, I mean, yes, if the money is there by the end of the project. We kind of leave that as a TBD.
Okay. So about 1,800 feet of stone dust from Pinckney Road to the place where the washout. So that'll be to be determined.
But we only have half of the Glen Swan easement on that. So that's another reason we may not do the stone dust on that section, because we don't have the full trail on both sides.
Okay. To be
But it'll be passable.
great. Yeah.
Any news about the Leonardo property?
You know, we've been trying, our new approach here is to, as we've lowered the number of easements that are reluctant, our new approach is to not necessarily use the names in a public way, since we're recording.
Yes.
These meetings are recorded and on YouTube and available.
And our land acquisition are generally now in executive session. So
We'll go
we can
into
provide an update about kind of.
Executive session to talk about where we are on the specifics. Okay, any other questions about the NICEAG section? Okay, let's move on to one more item from the Project Management Committee, and that is, and that's coming from me in particular, and that is the membership resignation and potential appointment. And when Gwen let me know that she wanted to step down, I wrote to Chip to see if he might be interested in becoming official on the task force. We had a brief talk this evening before the meeting in which Chip asked, well, what does it mean to be official?
Good question.
You already have been volunteering to do lots of photography and work helping us mapping. It's been wonderful. And, we don't need any more than that. We had this idea that every member of the task force would head up a committee or do a specific function. And that's kind of every member of the task force. And that's been kind of evolving in the last year and a half since Bob left us. But you've already got a niche. So I'd like to recommend that we vote to recommend to the town board that they appoint Chip to fill the vacancy. First, I will notify the board of Gwen's resignation and to appoint Chip to the task force, and I'll put that resolution out. Do I have a second? Thank you, Steve. Okay, lots of good. All right, any discussion? All those in favor of recommending that the town board appoint Chip? Great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay.
So, Alice, you'll send that to me and Cassie so we get it on the agenda
Yes.
for our next February meeting. Great.
Okay. Dan and Cassie. Okay.
And whatever form I need to fill out.
And I'll send you the form.
Thank you.
Yeah. As soon as I promise to send Chip the application paperwork. And as soon as that comes back, that'll be the kind of signal. Okay. Good. Okay. Moving from all of that project management stuff to trail amenities on sections that are already built. Let's get an update on the mini forest project from Marion.
Hey, well, thank you. Hearing that it took you 6 months to get a permit, I guess 3 days to get some plants wasn't too bad.
Not so bad. Not so bad.
So, yeah, thanks to Alice for persevering to get through. You have to order from the DEC. When you order trees, you have to do it by phone. And as soon as the date was available, I guess everybody in New York State started calling. But we ended up getting a total of 170, 150 from the DEC, bare root trees and shrubs, and then another 20 from the conservation, the Tompkins County Conservation Society, which is in
Soil and water.
Soil and water. Yeah. So I didn't even know about that sale until.
I'm so glad you found it.
So,
yeah.
So we'll have 50 eastern red cedars. This is for the berm by the cement factory. 25 bare oaks, which is a kind of a scrubby oak tree that we thought would that site really, it wouldn't be good for a big oak, but maybe a little oak would be okay. Some prairie willow, which is a willow that is used to stabilize erosion and also is tolerant to dry areas. So as opposed to other willows that really like to have their feet wet. And some American hazelnut, that's what came from the county conservation group. Gray dogwood, which is a dogwood, which is again tolerant to drier conditions because we've got this berm that we're going to be planting on. And then some 9-bark, which is a nice flowering shrub. So we'll be looking for digging 170 holes in that berm to put these in the spring, and amending the soil because we did a soil test which showed that we were low on phosphorus and potassium and organic matter. So we'll be adding compost and some soil amendments. And we're going to try an experiment with a hydrogel that you add to the planting soil, which retains the water. It's kind of like what you have in disposable diapers that keeps the wetness present. So I guess as soon as we can begin to work the soil out there, we should try to get some volunteers to see how difficult it's going to be to dig in that gravel berm, because it'll be a challenge.
Yeah.
And then once we get the plants themselves in April, we'll be looking for a lot of volunteer activity to get them into the ground. So any ideas or suggestions?
I remember the students from TC3 that came to our meeting a couple of times, so that might be a nice volunteer opportunity for their group to participate in.
Yeah, they were getting a ride from Sue, who wasn't able to come tonight. So I thought we might have one of the TC3 students joining us on Zoom, but that's a great idea that we'll get back in touch with them. So this is,
I have their emails.
This is a project. Marion came to us wanting to create a Miyawaki mini forest, and we had an agreement with the cement factory to provide vegetative screening. In order to get the easement, they wanted to screen the cement factory operation from the trail. And so this is a lovely match to have somebody who wants to do native plantings along this way. And we wrote a grant to Sustainable Finger Lakes for their neighborhood improvement project. Just $350, but they said yes. And that is paying for these seedlings. So that's bare root trees and seedlings. So that's, one way to meet that screening requirement if folks want privacy.
Yeah, if you're interested in sort of reforestation along the trails that you're working in, I would love to talk to you about it.
Sure.
It's there's a group called Trees Up Tompkins that is just dedicated to putting trees where they need to be, native trees.
Trees of Tompkins.
Trees Up Tompkins.
Trees up.
Trees up.
Great. Okay. Okay, anything else? Any questions for Marion or anything else on this one? Okay. Another topic under trail amenities is the memorial benches that we have been using as a fundraiser. And I put this on the agenda, but Judy can't be with us tonight to talk about it with us. And we're getting a little bit along in our agenda. I'll just describe quickly what I learned when I went to look at memorial bench donations from other places. In fact, I think I can share what I learned from looking at other programs that have memorial benches. I didn't compare with Cornell because I had already heard that Cornell asks a lot, but I just did look at, this is the right one. Yes. So I went into the websites of a couple of different local organizations that do a memorial bench donation. Finger Lakes Land Trust memorial bench tributes are $5,000 for the bench. And that's a Leopold bench and includes the plaque and maintenance for only 3 years. So that's one to take a look at. Friends of Stewart Park, benches and chairs. The bench adoption is $5,000. A chair is $2,000. The city of Ithaca offers an opportunity to do a memorial bench. A new bench is $5,000 or greater. Adding to an existing bench is $2,500 or greater. And that's a maintenance period of 10 years. New York State Parks offers a memorial bench program, and it is $5,000 to $8,000 for the bench, and maintenance is 10 years. The town of Dryden, currently, our memorial bench donation is $800.
Target.
But it's a bargain. Yeah, it's a bargain. You know, we were just getting started when we asked the town board to create a resolution authorizing us to do memorial benches as a fundraiser for the trail, and we really didn't do a lot of research about what other people were doing. So there's some benches that are in place that really, they've been a bargain, and it's just some wonderful people have been memorialized. And I think it is time for us to consider increasing that amount. I looked at how much we paid for the benches. I found in Bob's files the bill for the 10 benches that we bought a while back at $325 each, and then we added $550 for shipping. And then the plaques that go on them were approximately $75. I determined that the planks, I know that the planks were engraved by Roscoe Brothers Millwork of Dryden, which I don't think exists anymore, but I haven't been able to find out how much that cost. We've used up all of the benches that we had from that prior purchase, and kind of determined.
Oh, no, the ones that we have are going to be.
They're
used.
earmarked.
Right.
Yeah. So we had two, and they will, we hope, be installed soon. So I'm putting and Judy also did email me when she let me know that she wasn't going to be able to be with us, who's been handling these arrangements. As people come to her and ask what would be involved in getting a memorial bench. Judy did say that it might make sense to increase the amount to, say, $1,000 here. So since she can't be with us, I'm putting this out kind of as an information piece, but perhaps we'd wait until next month to make a final decision about this. And surface any questions that we could research between now and then. So thoughts about this?
We now have a maintenance lifetime for the Botanic Gardens, and I see the others do as well. So that makes a lot of sense, because it shouldn't be a bench in perpetuity that once it's past its service life, then you have to provide a brand new bench. And so that definitely is a component that should be written into our new protocols, is what the expected lifespan of the gift is.
Good.
How many benches are out there?
That's a great question. I think there are, I know that there are at least 10 from that order. But there may be some more benches that got repurposed. There were a couple of Leopold benches already on the Shug section of the trail, but I think 10 total that were ordered with this new style that we have. And not every one of the 10 benches that are already out has a plaque on it. I think there's some locations in the game farm and between Freeville and Dryden that don't have, that were chosen because they're beautiful sites, but nobody has asked for them to be dedicated. And we don't have funding to order more. So we're at the moment, rather than buying, we had an AARP grant that sort of gave us the impetus to make a bulk order, but at the moment we've been thinking that we'll just order them one at a time as requests come in. Since we don't have a grant for this in particular. So if there's any more discussion about this, we'll carry this to our next meeting. We don't have anybody asking right at the moment for this, but perhaps if we have a discussion next time and make a decision, we would like to put out some additional notices on social media that these are available, and then we see if this does continue to be kind of a fundraiser for us. Okay, Visit Ithaca parking sign audit. I mentioned last month that I learned that the Chamber of Commerce's Visit Ithaca program is auditing parking along trails and may have some funding to pay for signage where parking is available along trails. So I wrote to them and said the Dryden Rail Trail is interested. Here's our map that shows where our current parking is. And I haven't heard back from them. But that's a possible source of small funding for parking signage. Sue's not with us, but Chip, I know she sent you the coordinates and we answered your final question about mapping all the trail. I think we did answer your final question about the section from Game Farm Road to Route 13, the coordinates that I had sent, and then you turned into a spreadsheet and you had a question. I think we answered it, so we should have all
I
the.
don't believe I got that response yet. And so like I pinged right after the last meeting, and I know I pinged the entire rail trail group as a whole. Because honestly, I don't know if my emails to Sue are going to her spam or whatever. I have not seen a email back in a long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you still lack.
Yeah, I still need the questions that I had from like, is that one location for 5 or 6 signs, or are they in different locations? I needed that information so that I could update that to what I already had for the other section.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought I answered you and copied Sue. I'll go back.
You answered and asked Sue to take a look at it and reply to both of us, and there was no reply.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to throw Sue under the bus, but yeah, I'm not sure if like the emails are just going into spam or they're not going somewhere. Because yeah, I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending us that link to where.
I mean, I can send it again. You know, that's no problem. But yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll check in.
Yeah, I just need the definition of all the things that you had handwritten that I converted into the Excel document. I just need that to say yes or no. Like these 5 signs were in one location. We didn't get separate GPS, and I'll just plug them in that way.
Okay. I'm almost positive that is the correct answer.
Okay.
But I'll double check that with Sue.
Okay.
So, and when we get that in place, we've got these wonderful interactive maps that show where all of the amenities are.
And I just counted, there's obviously all 20 of the benches were not our benches, but from Freeville to the end past the lake, there's 20 benches in
Okay,
that section.
including those in the Shug section.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, some of those are the older benches,
We didn't
benches,
purchase
different
those in the
styles. Yeah.
section. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't define which benches were which, but there's 20 in that 7-mile stretch.
Okay,
So-
that's great to know. So probably 10 in the Shug and then 10 in
Yeah.
other parts of the trail. Okay, great, wonderful, good. Okay,
Alice,
Yes.
Chip, did you happen to send that to me? Because I don't recall getting it.
I had sent it to, I did a reply from like, here's the next meeting information. and I replied to all, and it was like that day or the day after.
So it's a link to the map that would have come in December, right?
Yeah.
Could
let's
you
see.
send it again?
Yes,
To me?
I don't think I got it either.
All right.
And now I'll look for it, and if I don't get it in the next day, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great,
Last meeting was December 17th.
good. Okay, thank you, Chip, for doing that work. It's great, and we'll get you that final word about the coordinates so that we have it complete. And then the only section that we
Yeah.
won't,
Then on the 24th.
okay, on the 24th of December.
Oh, that was the previous one. That was on November 24th, and then. Sorry, I've been unsubscribing from a lot of things.
Me too, boy. Those
New Year's.
those-
I'll resend it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Let's just quickly go to trail stewards and volunteers. And Diane and Alice are listed in addition to Sue. Diane and I were kind of working today on the invitation that will go out to invite trail stewards. And you want to say anything more about that, Diane?
Well, sure. We've put the infographic map into a letterhead, and Alice worked on a letter, and I'll be updating that and getting it ready to send within the next few days. I think we shared that infographic last meeting, but I did make a couple of changes based on suggestions from people, like making sections of the trail that are not yet active a different color so they stand out. And I think there were a few other things and a few other modifications, but it takes the map that Tony put together and just simplifies it to basically 2 lines indicating each branch of the trail. Now, Alice, you had suggested putting some kind of a key to length on it, or my only concern is I'm not sure both legs of the trail are to the same scale. And Tony, is the scale used throughout the whole map the same?
Here's the map. So you're following Tony's map. Tony, do you know if yours was to scale? Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry. All of those I put that whole thing together by taking Google Earth satellite images at the same altitude. So they should all be to scale, but I haven't checked it.
Okay, that's good. I wasn't sure whether you had stretched or shrunk one of those 2 legs to, make it more.
No, I did not try to do. I did not.
Oh, that's great. So I could do a little block that indicates a mile length segment as an approximation.
And
Right.
the other thing that we mentioned was maybe doing a compass to show that this is not exactly on the alignment that you see across the town of Dryden, but it's great graphically, but we could just show folks where north is on this to make it a little bit more easy to match up with the map. Did that
I
make
think I sent that to you last time, right after the last meeting. I sent a revised map.
Yeah, I think you did.
I
great?
sent it to Diane and Alice, I believe.
Okay.
Also with a scale bar on it. I believe. I'd have to check.
So the invitation to trail stewards will kind of be texts that Diane inserts inside the map. And we'll use that graphic to post on Facebook to invite people to sign up to be stewards for one of these 19 sections across the entire 14 plus miles. So any other questions or comments about where we're at with that? Okay. Anything new on kiosks, Diane?
Nothing right yet. I was actually going to start on it today, but we got called away to talk with some people about some potential renovations to Chris's parents' house. So my day didn't go in that direction. But the next step will be me going through the notes I have from several meetings ago and figuring out where we're at on the different kiosks and what more we need. And I know I'll be writing to Todd as soon as I can with samples of the maps that you sent to me years ago, and hopefully you'll be able to recreate the new maps to match them.
Okay.
Great.
I've been chugging along on some things. I have a possible script for talking about Cornell's relationship with the railroads that could go. I don't know where it could go. Kind of lost track of that now. But we talked about the one with the new bridge being something about the infrastructure and the comparing, putting this new bridge in that gets trucked in and plopped in place with the kinds of infrastructure that built the trail in the first place. Also looking at some of the geological formations that the builders had to conquer in order to make the rail bed. And I have gotten some, after many emails, I have gotten some response. Dan Carrig, an emeritus professor from Earth and Atmospheric Sciences in Ithaca. And then there's a guy in Binghamton that I think also is interested in, helping me out with that. So I'm just slowly making progress on some of that. So
Great. Thank you, Sue, because that's the most important high priority kiosk is the one that will be by the bridge. So thank you. I'm glad that's moving along.
I probably have more information than we could get on a kiosk, but I liked Sue's suggestion to have a what are those called? It's something that people can access on their phone that bring more information in. They talk about beavers and infrastructure, the structures they make, and things like that. And if all these come through, then I'm going to have a lot of information. So we'll see. We will hope.
Okay. Thank you for that work, Susan. That's great. That's great. And now, as we think about kiosks, we've said that construction, if we got the TAP grant, the construction time would be 2028, but that will be a location for another kiosk. So looking ahead, that Route 366 crossing will be another spot for trailhead kiosks.
But I think when we had started talking about the kiosks, we were thinking of one in Etna, which is where the old Etna station used to be, kind of crossing Etna Lane. So we might want to consider, do we still want to have a kiosk there, or does it actually make more sense to have one at Route 366? And it probably makes more sense for Route 366 because we'll have parking there now.
Good.
So yeah, but that one I think we were looking at 4 or 5 different kiosks, and that one was the one at the end of the list. But it might move up since it's now not going to be where the old Etna station used to be, but will actually be part of phase 3.
Well,
Yes.
just remember, Diane, that construction for that would be 2028. So it's a little ways down the road until you need that content.
Yeah, but it's just amazing, Todd, how quickly time goes by, and the next thing you know, like 2 years have 3-4 years have gone by since we last put up kiosks.
Yeah, it's true. I was just looking at
Actually, maybe more like 6 years, because I think it was 2019.
Yeah, it's a while. Okay. So I just wanted to flag real quickly in terms of outreach and communication that we have a volunteer, Liz, who lives off the Shug section, who's interested in helping us with social media posts. And Diane, I'm hoping you and Sue and I could get together with her and see if she can be of some assistance in helping us make sure we get these posted. So I'll get back to you offline to see if we can get some possible times, if that's okay.
Okay, sounds great. Fridays are always best for me just because that's the day I'm at home. But
good.
sometimes Wednesdays work if I've had a busy week.
Good, okay. And finally, in terms of outreach and communication, Gwen Beck was managing our listserv. And she said to me that she was feeling bad that she has not been able to really work on that in several months. So I'm going to be looking for someone to volunteer to help manage our listserv. And the main thing that's involved there is when we table at events, when we meet folks who would like to be added to our listserv, we sometimes have, a list of emails to get into our listserv. So it's entering those emails. There's a couple of different steps of getting people onto the listserv, and a note out to them that, thanks for your interest. We've sent this out. There's one note for people who have Google accounts and another one for the folks who don't already have Google accounts, since they don't get quite the same bang for their buck being on our listserv. But we need somebody to help kind of do that piece. Chris.
I can pick that up for sure. I mean, I've got a few Google groups that I manage. So, I can pick that up, especially now that we have those different scripts to messages to send people upon invite, depending upon the type of email and whether or not they can be directly added. And I may also explore moving over to a different e-list provider away from Google Group. So we'll see. But I'm happy to, if somebody can just get me a photo, email me a photocopy or send me a picture or type up the list of email addresses from signups from various events or people who attend the meetings here who want to be added to the list for informational purposes, I can certainly add them. That's not a big deal.
Gwen has some, and I'll assemble them from her and other lists that we may get, that Rose and I may have, and we'll go to you. Chris, that is music to my ears. I thought I was going to be met with silence.
I was going to say that I could do it, but I'm not official yet. So. But if Chris wants it.
That's great. Well, don't worry. We'll be tapping your skills, Chuck. Sure. There's a lot of mapping and other kinds of work to do. Photographing. Good. Okay. Well, that is the end of our given agenda. And Todd, do you think we need an executive session? Are there?
Yeah, I thought there's at least one topic.
One topic we need to talk about.
And I think one thing first.
Oh, sure.
We asked I didn't give I should have fleshed out a little bit more on this extension of the South Hill Recway.
Please do.
Which is starts where it ends now at Burns Road. And then we asked NYSEG for an easement.
There's Durban Cross Road, there's Banks Road, there's Mid-Off.
Yeah.
And then it goes on from there?
Yeah.
All the way down to
the county border at White Church. So that involves 4 towns. That's Ithaca, Dryden, Danby, and Caroline. Most of the rail trail is in Caroline, but the 4 towns secured easements from NYSEG in perpetuity. Each town signed an easement for the entire length. So we're redundant with each other. So each of the towns has easement in perpetuity from Burns Road to the county border.
I didn't realize that.
So it occurred to me.
We're jealous.
My part's done.
and the Dryden section is really very small. But anyway, it occurred to me that we're all in this together. So I just wanted to,
Yeah.
to point that out.
I'd love to hear more about that project. Maybe not tonight, but maybe you can come back next month or something and tell us all about it.
Sure. Lewis is, I guess I would say our Alice, or he's their chair. He's chairing the Friends of the Coddington Valley Rail Trail. We're calling it.
You're calling it the Coddington Valley Rail Trail.
That's what we
Alright,
decided
that's
to
cool.
call it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
great.
So it's in our beginning, or in our infancy, we've actually had a couple work parties where we've cleared, walkable distance from Burns Road. Right now, from Burns Road, you can walk all the way past Banks, almost to Middle. That's all walkable now.
Except there's
That's-
washouts.
That's where you stop.
yeah, you have to be careful at the White House.
But all that's been cleared by volunteers so far on
Yes,
this thing.
it's all on the site.
Burns Road, there was a driveway. I mean, across from Burns, was it someone used the rail trail as a driveway? How do you kind of deal with
And
that?
that's a new owner, and the new owner is a supporter.
Okay.
So you can walk that driveway now,
Are you saying that the washouts are after Middle?
after Banks,
After Banks?
between Banks and
So the
Middle.
walk from,
From Banks, you could get on a bike or on a bicycle, you can get on the trail at Banks and bike to Ithaca from Banks Road at this point.
okay.
And from Banks, you can walk in towards Middle, and then you hit a couple washouts, and then you hit a landowner who has things in the middle of the trail and all. That's what we're working on next.
Okay.
So that's where we are. And then there's some sections. There's sections that need to be cleared till Ridgeway. I don't know if you know, but between Ridgeway and White Church is wide open. So the last
Okay.
mile and a half is wide open. So there's that section from White Church or from Ridgeway Road to basically, to Bell School, and basically to Middle Road is where the main clearing part needs to happen. So anyway, we're learning from you guys. We'll come back to you with
Yeah, this has
questions.
been really.
Well, your
One of the-
washouts are massive.
One of the ways some of the trail that we haven't gotten easements for was cleared was for the main Dryden fiber line. So now that Caroline is in the Dryden, partner of Dryden Fiber, I don't know where your main fiber trunk is planned to go, but you might think about.
We did mention that when Hunt was on board, and so I think that would be something for the future. The plans in place for this grant, but that would be.
Well, I mean, when the railroad went under, they offered the properties to the town of Dryden. They declined, which was unfortunate. And the council for the town of Dryden, at the town's behest, put utility easements on the entire railroad line.
Okay.
Which is why, so there's water and sewer in section, but why we're able to put the Dryden fiber in trunk lines, because the utility easements were in all the.
You already have an easement.
For utilities, they just didn't have it for a trail. So, so that was part of the strategy that Dan and others came up with when they mapped it out, and the Dryden fiber trunk line is.
Yeah.
So there are sections of the Dryden Rail Trail that we don't have easements for that are open now
Cleared for
because
the trail.
because of the Dryden fiber went in it a couple of years ago.
Okay. I see a hand, Chris and Diane.
Hi, Mark. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Diane and I were just chatting offline here about the Town of Dryden Rail Trail logo. And one possibility, is to offer up use of a variant of the Town of Dryden Rail Trail logo, but work with you all to come up with something, and in part because this corridor traverses through the town of Dryden, and we would like to be a helpful partner. I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
It also could help promote a sort of repeating image that starts to get associated with rail trails, as another rail trail in another part of the state has already decided they would use our logo. So,
Without-
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh.
Without our permission.
without our permission, but you know, at the time that this all happened, I mean, we would have, I think we would have been fine to have just modified it slightly to let them use it. And it's an option to consider for something you might be interested in. I suppose we'll also discuss it among the board, among the task force,
And the town board.
and the town
Yeah.
board later, but it's something to consider.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we have talked about, and I really like the Dryden Rail Trail logo. It looks really cool. So we've talked about that kind of thing. So thank you. We'll get back to you on that. So
Just popped it up there for you, so you
Oh.
can see it on our map. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah,
Great.
beautiful.
okay, yeah, I just want to say it's wonderful to see you, and it's wonderful to hear about the progress you're making, and it's just exciting to think
Likewise.
about.
yeah,
It's exciting. I mean, I know what you guys have, I don't know what you've been going through, but I know that once I've stepped into this and it opens a whole world. Like, I didn't even think about rails to trails. And then it's just like, open that window of what's happened over the last, whatever, 40 years in this country and what we're all in the middle of doing. It's just great.
Yeah,
I just want to emphasize, and this was Lewis spearheaded this the volunteer group to, have these work parties, and so this is like with hedge pruners and shovels and everything, and it is a transformation. It's and what we discovered is, like, we saw this at Banks Road, that you could see that especially at the roadside, stuff had been piled up there to obscure the access. So it was really great to, now you go out there, you can see a corridor, you can see the rail bed structure, and it's really inviting and great. So
well, let's just stay in touch, and I
Sounds
mean,
good.
you can
sounds good.
you can call
I
me.
think I know where to find you guys each month.
Right here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do a motion. Chris, you're our parliamentarian.
Next meeting,
Oh, we need to just confirm that the next meeting, it's in your agenda. The next meeting will be at 7 p.m. Monday, February 16th. We are always on the third Monday of the month, and we meet here in Town Hall.
I'll miss that one, unfortunately.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, all right. Well, we better talk before. Okay, so Chris.
Yeah, if all business in the public forum is settled, I'd like to motion to enter into executive session to briefly discuss some land acquisition, landowner matters.
Great, and do we need to say whether we're going to reconvene in public after?
Correct. We will not be reconvening to carry on any voting. So this will just to adjourn.
We do not intend to vote on any land acquisition issues after this discussion, so we will close the public meeting now and will not reconvene. Okay. That's
And
your-
you'll stop recording as well because we're entering into executive session.
Good, okay, but not until we vote. Do I have a second? Seconded by Steve. All in favor of going into executive session? Looks like it's happening. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Great to see you.
Yeah, so you guys are an actual extension of the South Recway? Yes. Okay. Am I invited to stay or am
Yeah,
I?
you can say.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, yes, you can.
I would reach out to REI. REI is somehow a sponsor of the South Recway. I don't know that it's a financial, but it's a volunteer. And so like twice a year, we go and clean up the South Recway.
Oh,
They offered the town of Ithaca, city of Ithaca, somebody
I see.
to like have a part ownership in that.
Huh.
Like I work at REI on weekends, so
Okay.
yeah. So just let you know, you might want to reach out.
They might be a kind of a
Thank you.
sponsor. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, thank you. Thank
Um, Alice, I think that we may need to just do a raise of hands or something like that to invite Chip into the executive session.
All in favor of inviting Chip?
Okay.
Yes, okay.
All right, thank you all.
Good.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you much. I have a couple specific questions, so again,
Okay, yeah, you've got my email?
I got it from Mark.
Okay,
Yeah, thank
Good.
you all.
all right,
Bye.
good.
Is
All
this
right.
still being recorded?
Pardon?
Is it still being recorded?
I'm gonna turn it off right now. Okay. So, the meeting is adjourned at, 8:49 PM and we're going into executive session now. I'm turning off the recording. Okay. It's officially off.
Okay. Because it
still says it is.
It says at the top that it's recording still.
Yeah, somebody needs to stop it.
Somebody else recording?
After stopping, you'll receive an email. Oh, I'm sorry, I pressed